Late at night, I stopped by a small roadside bar. When I walked in, several men were drinking quietly, their behavior strangely unsettling. I stayed for about an hour, had a drink, and watched as the bartender served them all a meal. When I later saw human remains in the kitchen, I realized they were cannibals. I rushed outside to escape, but two of them followed me. When I reached my car, all my tires were slashed. That's when I understood, they weren't going to let me leave. It was late at night, and I was driving along an unfamiliar road. I had taken a few days off work to travel, since it had been months since my last trip. The weather was mild, spring had just begun, and I was following a route toward a city I had never visited before. Because I wasn't familiar with the roads, I relied heavily on my map to find the right direction. Normally, I never drove this late. I preferred to find a hotel before sunset, sleep, and continue in the morning. But tonight I hadn't seen a single hotel or guesthouse along the way, so I kept driving non-stop. I had left the last town around 3 p.m., and for hours I had been on the road without a break. About half an hour later, I finally saw a sign indicating a bar ahead. Exhausted, I decided to stop. I slowed down, turned onto the narrow road leading to the bar, and after a few minutes arrived. It looked old and worn down. I parked, stepped out of my car, and headed inside. 7 or 8 men were sitting around, drinking quietly. I closed the door behind me and sat at the counter. After a short while, the bartender came over and asked what I wanted. I ordered a beer and tried to relax, but something about the atmosphere felt wrong. The men talked quietly among themselves, their behavior oddly unnatural. It was close to midnight. After the bartender finished eating, he told his coworker to bring the guests their meals. A few minutes later, bowls of soup were placed in front of all of them, though I was certain none of them had ordered anything. And they didn't seem to know each other. Yet the food arrived for all of them at the same time. A strange smell drifted from the kitchen. It was food, but something about it felt disturbing. Eventually, I decided it was time to go. I stood up, planning to wash my hands behind the counter before leaving. As I walked back, I passed a door, the one the coworker had used. It seemed to lead to the kitchen. I hesitated, then approached it. Inside was a messy kitchen. Pots simmered on the stove. Large freezers lined the wall. I stepped closer. That's when I saw what was inside them. Human limbs. Arms. Legs. Stacked like butcher shop cuts. My stomach twisted. I looked around, no one was there. Voices from the bar drifted in faintly. I walked out slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. I paid my bill and walked toward the exit. 2 of the men also stood up and walked toward the door. I stepped outside, heading straight for my car. They followed me out and stood near the building, watching. When I reached my car, I froze. Every tire was slashed. All 4. It wasn't an accident. The 2 men approached. One asked what had happened. I told them the tires were punctured. They looked at the car and mentioned that I would need to go back to town to get replacements. They added that they could take me there and told me to come back inside and wait because they would leave soon. I thanked them and walked toward the bar again, forcing myself not to run. I knew they had done it. After seeing the kitchen, it was obvious, these men were cannibals, and they weren't planning on letting me leave alive. I returned to my seat, pretending to wait. About 20 minutes passed as I tried to think. If I stayed, I was dead. If I escaped, they would chase me. Then I realized, the bar was all wood. Easy to burn. I stood up, walked casually toward a curtain, and blocked the view with my body as I pulled out my lighter. After a few seconds, flames began to crawl up the fabric. The fire spread fast. I headed for the door, but one of the men reached it first. He locked it, turned around, and smiled, making it clear I wasn't leaving. The others laughed as he explained that he had seen me in the kitchen. They all stood and moved toward me. I ran behind the bar and into a small room. I slammed the door shut and locked it. They immediately began pounding on it, trying to break it down. I scanned the room. A window. Locked. I grabbed a metal rod from the floor and slammed it into the frame. The door behind me was seconds from breaking. I hit the frame again and again until the wood cracked. I climbed halfway out just as the man who locked the door burst into the room and lunged at me. I jumped out the window. Smoke billowed from the bar as the fire spread. Screams filled the night. The man who chased me reached the window, trying to climb out, but his friends were shouting for him from inside. While he hesitated, I grabbed a broken shard of glass from the ground and stabbed his hand. He screamed and fell back. His friends took the key from him and rushed to unlock the door, but it was too late. Flames engulfed the building. I ran toward the main road. Behind me I heard them shouting as they escaped the collapsing bar. Some started chasing me. I sprinted as fast as I could. A car appeared in the distance. I waved desperately. It stopped. I jumped in and told the driver that people were chasing me. He stepped on the gas immediately. I breathed out, shaking. I knew I had to go to the police, but I also knew those cannibals wouldn't stay in one place for long. From that night on, I never stopped at a lonely roadside place again.